This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Hi everyone and welcome to The Red Pill, Part 5. My name is Johan and with me I have my co-host Richard. How you doing, Richard?
Thank you, Johan. As usual, I'm very pleased and happy to be a part of your podcast, and I'm very excited about this theme and this agenda we have today.
Yeah, we're gonna do this episode in English since we have an English-speaking guest on the show. He's a very prominent person, quite famous in the so-called conspiracy movement and the truth movement and also the UFO research movement. His name is Jordan Maxwell. And he is a preeminent researcher and independent scholar in the field of occult and religious philosophy. And this man has spent almost his entire life researching secret societies, the origins of religions. And his interest in these subjects began as far back as 1959. He served for 3.5 years as the religion editor of Truth Seeker magazine, America's oldest free thought journal since 1873. His work exploring the hidden foundations of Western religions and secret societies creates enthusiastic responses from audiences around the world. Now, welcome, Jordan. We're very happy to have you here.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to be with you. And where are you?
I'm in Stockholm, Sweden, right now.
Oh, okay. So I'm talking to Sweden. Okay.
Yeah. And also, Richard is from Sweden, also.
Also, Stockholm here.
I have many good friends in a lot of emails from Sweden. Happily, a lot of people know about me. And so
you've also been on Red Ice Radio.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And have you always been this kind of seeking person, or was it some kind of event that led you up to all of this research that you've done?
Well, I grew up in this kind of atmosphere of reading and studying all sorts of strange things about the world.
Yeah.
He's attracted.
Yeah. But
He's attracted to the lies, distortions, and all the strange things which were happening that people had no answer for. I was always looking at the dark side and find out why things do.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of grew up in.
Yeah, but there's a lot of different strange things going on. I mean, behind closed doors, and there's a lot of secret societies that many people never heard of. The Skull and Bones, the Freemasons, the Bohemian Society, the Bohemian Grove. What's going on there? I mean, there's a lot of strange, secret, dark stuff that is going on, and you have spent your life trying to uncover these secrets.
That's exactly right. There's a lot of things people do not know about living life. They have never been told secrets.
Yeah.
And I've always been interested in the secrets that people don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I want to begin to ask you, because in episode number 2 of this podcast, I actually played a small audio clip where you were talking about the pyramid on the backside of the $1 bill. Mm-hmm. It's quite famous pyramid. Everyone knows about. And in that...
But Americans do not know why it's on the dollar bill.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because most Americans have never even looked at the back of a dollar bill. They're too busy trying to earn a dollar bill, much less look at one. So most people don't even know there is pyramids on the back of the dollar bill.
Yeah, exactly.
But may I add a note? I'm also very curious about how come the label "In God We Trust" is printed on the back of every dollar bill as well.
Well, that's because Eisenhower was told by the Pope during the 1950s, back in 1952, 53, Eisenhower had a conversation with the Pope, and it was decided that because of the rise of communism that teaches there is no God, because of the rise of communism in the world, the Pope decided it would be better if America, which was the dominant power in the world, that America would put on its dollar bill that in God we trust. And the reason why is because America represents, from day one, America has offered the Roman Empire. And so the papacy assumed that since the American Republic was the new Roman Empire and that the Communist Party was trying to get God, it would be the Vatican entity on the earth should put on their dollar bill in trust, showing that we have nothing to do with communism. Well, I can understand that. I can understand politically that back in 1952, but I don't understand it today. Because today, because since 1950s, and especially since the assassination of John Kennedy, America has been in the hands of the World Communist Party. And America has become the center for worldism.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very strange that we would have on our dollar bill, "In God we trust," when in point of fact we have a very foundation for world is America today.
Yeah.
So that's why it's on the dollar bill. The Pope felt that would be something we should do, is put on the American dollar bill that we're not communists, that communism is not going to succeed, and that America believes in God. And I don't have any problem with that. I didn't have any problem with that then. I still don't have any problem with it.
Yeah. But in that clip that I was playing, you also mentioned that the eye on top of the pyramid represents the Jewish Messiah. But I've also heard you say that it represents the eye of Horus, the Egyptian god Horus. So the eye represents many things then.
Well, the eye actually represents only one thing, but it has been interpreted and misrepresented in so many different ways that it looks like it just represents so many different things. No, it only represents one thing, and that is the sun. The sun that comes up in the morning and lights up the world, that pyramid represents is the eye of Horus. And the eye of Horus is the symbol for the Messiah of the Jews, the Jewish Messiah, eye of Horus.
Yeah, but that also brings me to the next question I have, because when it comes to, the conspiracy of creating a one world government slave world, so to speak, with RFID chipped people, and a lot of people talk about, Jewish powers being behind the scenes very much, when it comes to religion, when it comes to media, Hollywood, and when it comes to reality TV shows and things like this. What do you think? Because you're Jewish yourself, right? So
yeah, my mother was Jewish.
Yeah. So how do you feel about Jewish powers being so much involved in all of this? Because
I don't believe that. I don't know exactly, but what I do know is that there are many Jewish people involved in criminal control of Jews. It doesn't mean all of Jews.
No.
Just like I could say that there are quite a few million Italians involved in mafia. But that doesn't mean everybody in Sicily is involved in the mafia.
No, of course not. No.
We're not talking about that.
No.
And so I believe that there is a world master conspiracy involved, just as there are everybody else is involved. And the Messiah, that very idea of someone who dies and who will come back and save the world, is an Egyptian idea. It has nothing to do with Judaism or Christianity at all. It's an Egyptian idea that was born in Egypt.
Yeah, because I know that.
So, go on.
Yeah, I know that David Icke has been accused of being an anti-Semite because he brings up, the Rothschild Zionism and things like that. So he's been accused of anti-Semitism.
I know good people who speak out and try and expose the darkness ways, misrepresented and curse and try to destroy their names and their work and their reputation. Like David Icke, who cares about the world he lives in and who cares about the horrible tragedies going on in the world and is speaking out to do something about it. The criminals who are behind our world government, they want to make him look like a fool. And I think most intelligent people know that.
Yeah.
I think most people know that David Icke is on the right track. He's doing what others wish they could do, but they're not as smart as he is.
Yeah, David Icke is very much inspired by your work. He's basing his lectures much on your research, what you have come up with.
I brought David Icke to America back in 1992 or 93.
Yeah.
92 or 93, I contacted David Icke and brought him to America. I got him started on radio and paid for him to do lectures around the country. And then I started sending him to different countries.
Yeah.
I paid for him to go to different countries and do lectures. I had to pay his airfare and his hotel and his accommodations. And I promoted him on radio and television and got his books published for him. I was behind David Icke from day one. I brought him to America and got him started. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy I did because he's a very good man and I really like him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting also. I've heard you mention the Jesuit order as sort of being in the core of the Illuminati, so to speak. The Illuminati is the Jesuits.
I think they are the Illuminati. I think the Illuminati is actually the order of Jesuits in the Catholic Church. I think if you're going to talk about Illuminati,
illuminated ones.
Say it again.
The illuminated ones. Sorry.
That's right. Illuminated ones. Well, that's them. There's nobody smarter on the earth than the Jesuits. They are highly, highly educated and extraordinarily brilliant people. And they're very, very devious. And they are a military order, and they're scary. The mafia operates like the Jesuits. The Jesuits are the outline and the basis for the mafia. They're very powerful people, and they don't have any problem with killing anyone or doing whatever they need to do what they want done. And they are very vicious and violent, and they're a military order, and they are promoting world communism, world Nazism. They're the powers behind banking and insurance companies around the world. The Jesuits are extremely powerful criminal organization operating out of the Vatican, which itself is an extremely criminal organization.
Yeah, there's a lot of child molestation, that the Pope and that the Vatican has been accused of, child pornography and having sex with children.
Child abuse and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But that's true. However, when you look into the religion of the Roman religion, and that's all the Vatican is, it represents only Rome's religion, the religion of Rome. And the Roman religion represents all the other religions of the world. And so when you begin to look at go back and do the research and study, and the university study the subject of the evolution of religions on the face of the earth, you will find that the basic understanding for world religion is basically the war in the heavens between light and darkness. The war between light and darkness, and also the war between man and woman, between the sexes. And sex is a very important part of all world religions, period. So therefore, it doesn't shock me that there is so much sex going on in the major religions like the Vatican, because that's what the religions are based on. So many of the symbols in the Catholic Church today are sexual symbols. Nobody has been told that. Most people don't do the kind of reading I do. They don't do the kind of research I do.
No, they
and
don't.
So I know what the symbols mean because I wanted to know and I've researched it.
Yeah.
I've been doing the kind of study I do for the past 60 years. Most people have not studied the occult symbols of religion for 60 minutes. I've been doing it for 60 years.
Yeah.
So I remember and I know all of the different symbols in world religions, which are actually sexual symbols. You'd be surprised how much is in the world religions today of Christianity and Judaism, which are nothing more than sexual symbols.
Yeah, the church towers and the obelisks and yeah.
That's right, exactly. But I mean, I could go on for hours giving you ideas and giving you examples of sex symbols in religion.
Yeah, I heard you once mention that Christianity, in the earlier stages of Christianity, was more of a pure, truthful religion, and that it sort of later on became this corporate business scam, sort of.
Well, original Christianity is based on astrology.
Yeah.
Period. Astrology is the foundation for Judaism and Christianity.
Sorry, may I ask? And astrology, are you referring to, for example, Copernicus? From the past, yes, the scientist, scientific person, Copernicus. He sat and he was studying the Earth. He was studying the sun, and he realized that the Earth is going around the sun and not way around.
Yes, but I'm saying that the basis for Christianity is the war in heaven between the sun and the moon, between day and night. Night is ruled over by the prince of darkness, while God's Son is our risen Savior. In the morning, the Son is our risen Savior.
Yeah.
And since we only have one Son, we don't have six. We only have one Son, and so the Son is referred to as the only begotten of God. It's the only begotten Son of God. There's only one, and it's the one Son that we have that warms our atmosphere, that gives us light, and so Jesus is God's Son, our risen Savior. Of course the Son is your risen Savior. If it doesn't come up each morning, we're going to be dead in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, but
it's going to get very cold on the earth.
Yeah. Is it your opinion that Jesus is a fictional character? He didn't really exist. It's all just astrology.
I am totally convinced beyond the shadow of a doubt for myself that the man we know as Jesus never existed. Jesus is a symbol or a metaphor in a world-class symbolic metaphor story. The Bible story of the Old and New Testament is a symbolic story.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand the symbol, you're never going to understand the story. And Jesus is the main symbol in the second half of the story, the New Testament.
Yeah.
So it's a symbol. It's a metaphor that is not to be read as history. The Bible is not to be read as history. Yeah. It's a symbolic story.
But do you think that there is something to learn from this story that people can benefit from, or is it all bogus, so to speak?
No. I think that the story that the Bible is telling you is the most important story that mankind could ever hear.
Okay.
But it has been so distorted that nobody would ever recognize it. Even if you sat on the story, you would not recognize it because it's been so well hidden and camouflaged and hidden that people would not be able to relate to the story today. Most people, if I started explaining to you what the symbols in the Old Testament and the symbols of the New Testament, what they meant, the symbolic interpretation of the stories in the Old and New Testament, most people would think I was crazy. They have never heard such things in their life because they've never studied theology for 60 years as I have.
Yeah.
So most people haven't spent 60 minutes listening to and studying something I've spent 60 years looking at.
Yeah.
And most people would never, if I told you the symbolism, you probably wouldn't even understand it if I told you. And then until one day, if you think about it, and you begin to think about what I'm saying, one day, if you're supposed to understand, it will finally dawn on you what I am saying is true. And then you begin to see the real story of Jesus, because now you understand it as a metaphor, a symbolic story.
Yeah. I think that Albert Pike mentioned that the Christian Bible is the most advanced literary, it's the most advanced occult literature you can find in mainstream bookshelves. Sort of, it's extremely advanced.
I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
And the reason why I would agree with that is because the word you used, occult. Occult is a Latin word which means hidden.
Yeah.
So if you put your hand in your pocket, by dictionary definition, your hand becomes occult hand.
Yeah.
Meaning it's hidden because it's in your pocket. You've hidden your hand.
Yeah.
So anything which is hidden from your eyes is occult.
Yeah.
And I've said to you, and I'm saying to you, that the story inside the Bible in the Old Testament and the New Testament is a symbolic story.
Yeah.
And that symbolic story is so incredibly different than anything you've ever heard, because it's been hidden from you from all your life. You've never had anyone show you what the real story in the Bible actually is, and what it's actually in fact saying once you understand the symbols. That's why I would agree with Albert Pike that the Bible is one of the most important occult books on the earth today, because inside the Old and New Testament are hidden profoundly important knowledge, which is actually true, but has been symbolically presented in such a way you've never heard it before.
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers in there. It's like God created the heavens and the earth in like on 6 days, and he rested on the seventh day.
Right.
Yeah, and Jesus had 12 apostles and
the 12 brothers of Joseph. 12 brothers of Joseph.
Yeah.
The 12 tribes of Israel.
Yeah.
The 12 symbols on the breastplate of the high priest. Everything in the Bible is done in sequence of 12. The 12 this, the 12 that, the 12 major prophets, the 12 minor prophets, the 12 apostles. All of this is based on 12. Why? Because the whole story of Old and New Testament is a story of the life of the solar event. That's the name of the tomb.
Yeah.
The symbolic story is the story of the heavens.
Yeah.
And so we have something called the Son. There's only one Son. So it's the only begotten Son. And so you ask the question, who owns the Son? Well, at least smart enough to know they don't own the Son, and there's probably nobody on earth who owns the Son.
No.
So therefore, theologically, who would you say might own the Son? Well, if there is a God, we would say maybe God owns the Son, because we know nobody on the earth owns the Son. So let's just say God owns the Son. So therefore, in the morning, when that sun rises, that sun does not belong to you. It's God's Son.
Yeah.
And Jesus is referred to as God's Son, our risen Savior. And of course, the sun in the rising in the morning is your risen Savior. If you don't wait till it don't come up.
Yeah.
And if the sun doesn't come up, it's going to get awful cold on the earth. And you think those glaciers at the North and South Pole are big? Wait till you see what's going to happen to the earth if there is no sun, period.
Yeah.
We're going to freeze over in about 3 weeks. We're going to be solid ice on the earth, and all life will be gone forever.
Yeah, that's true.
So therefore, the Son, which is the only begotten Son, we only have one,
Yeah.
that only begotten Son is our risen Savior. And of course, he is the light of the world. Well, the Bible says Jesus is the light of the world. Of course, the Son is the light of the world.
Yeah, I also heard you say that in the beginning of the Bible, in the original Bible, it was told that humans were created by several gods and not just one. It was Elohim.
That's right.
And you mentioned in an interview that you think that an extraterrestrial race called the Nordics was probably the ones who created humans.
Well, I don't know about the Nordics as such, but I do believe that there is some connection between the extraterrestrials that we call Nordics and the Bible's talking about creating mankind.
Yeah.
Yes, I do believe there is some kind of a connection between those two stories. The UFO story of the Nordics and the story in the Genesis 1 with the creation of man by God.
Yeah.
That's a whole new story that people have never heard before. If you go back and read it, like I said, understanding the symbolism and what it's saying to you, then it will make a lot of sense. But if you're listening to the church does not know and does not wish you to know. It's a big club and you are not in it.
Yeah.
The church does not want you to know what they know, and they're not going to tell you. Only people like me will tell you.
Yeah. That also brings me to the question of the symbolism in the Vatican. I've seen the Pope, he has a staff with a pine cone on the staff, and also there's a pine cone sculpture outside the Vatican or near the Vatican. Does the pine cone represent the pineal gland, sort of dormant, hidden psychic ability we have in our brain?
Well, the pine cone actually, yes, it does represent parts of the human body. It's also a sexual symbol. The pine cone has been used as a sexual symbol for many years. It's a strange symbol. You might want to go to the library and get a book on the occult symbols in the church and look up the pine cone and see what it actually means. See where it came from and how it's used as a sexual symbol also.
And what's your take on the pyramids of Egypt? How were they built and for what purpose? But there are several theories out there that says, one theory say it was for the pharaohs to have a grave, or others say it wasn't at all that. It was some kind of energy center
device.
thing. Energy device, yeah.
Well, the idea that the pyramids were tombs for the pharaoh is so laughable. It would only work in America. It will only work with the Americans, because the Americans are so ignorant and ill-informed. They don't know from anything. So you can tell the Americans anything, and they'll believe it. So it would only work in America. People with real education and intelligence and can think, they know nobody was ever buried in a pyramid. The pharaohs were buried in the Valley of the Kings. The pharaohs were buried in the Valley of the Kings, not in any pyramid. I know because I've been to Egypt 3 times. I have spoke in Cairo, and I spoke at the pyramids. I was in the pyramid. I was blessed in the king's chamber, in the king's sarcophagus, by a Kemite priest. I know what's going on in Egypt because I have been there.
All right.
And so no pharaohs were ever buried in any pyramid, ever. That's only nonsense. Only a child would be told something like that. Grown adults know better, except don't know from much of anything.
But what was the purpose of the pyramids? What would you say?
I think the pyramids were probably put here long before the Egyptians ever got here. I believe somebody built the pyramids, but it was not the Egyptians. Why? because some of the earliest people who went into Egypt, like Herodotus, the Greek historian, went into Egypt thousands of years ago and confronted the Egyptian people at that time and asked them about the pyramids, and they told him they, as Egyptians, did not know who built the pyramids or why. They had no idea in the world. Now, when you take into consideration, Egyptians were world famous for writing down their history. Everything of any importance that happened in Egypt was written down as a historical document. But in all of Egypt, everywhere from the north to the south and both ends of Egypt, there is nothing on paper or scribbled on a piece of paper or chiseled into a wall or a symbol, hieroglyphics, nothing in Egypt is talked about the pyramid, nothing. So for a people who were famous for writing everything that happened in Egypt as a history, you would think that the king, at least if the pyramid was built for him, he would at least have that written down so that people would, the Egyptians would remember who owned the pyramid, for, etc. But there is nothing, period, in Egypt mentioning a pyramid anywhere, period. Which implies that the Egyptians didn't build the pyramid, because the earliest Egyptians, they told Herodotus, we don't know who built the pyramids. That was here when we got here. When we came here, they were already here. So somebody built the pyramids, but we don't know who it is. And so Hollywood, the goofballs who behind the scenes, the liars and the criminals who run Hollywood, they put out the story that it was the Egyptians who built the pyramid. It was not. There's a whole story about the history of this earth and this world that's never, ever been told. The people of this world have never been told the truth about who was on this earth and who did what and when.
Yeah, and Hollywood with their movies, they're sort of using their magic wand on people, so that the people will believe it.
Yeah. Well, what you were saying is that you have to explain it for the audience. That one of the most important groups of people on the earth in the past many thousands of years were in Europe. North, East, West, and Southern Europe. The European people who ultimately came to North America and started what we call the United States of America. They were European people. And the Europeans were a Celtic or Celtic people. It was Celtic or Celtic. And if you look it up in the dictionary, you will see that the Celtic people, they were the most important people in Europe. They were the lawyers, the judges, the doctors, the politicians. Anybody who was anybody important was a Celtic Druid. And therefore, one of the most important symbols in Europe of political power, of spiritual and political power, the most important symbol, even before the Roman Empire existed, was a magic wand. Merlin the magician with his magic wand. Moses is pictured with a magic wand. Jesus is pictured doing his miracles with a magic wand. All over Europe, important people use magic wands. And magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It was made out of holly wood.
Yeah, I've heard you mention that many times. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
And so it's quite interesting that we, the Celtic peoples of the world, are still working our magic on the whole earth. All over the world, people go to see the movies from Hollywood. The Celtic Druidic magic. It's a legitimate, real magical system. It's not just silly magical on this. It is an actual black magic that's actually going on in America today and Hollywood is not just the magic you see on the screen, but it's the magic behind the whole industry. It's black magic, sexual magic, child sacrifice, all kinds of demonic depravity going on in America behind Hollywood.
Yeah.
So when you hear about the magic of Hollywood, it is a very, very evil, dark, frightening magic that's being practiced in America behind the motion picture industry and the music industry. It's called Hollywood. It's magical. It's magical because the people who are running Hollywood are dealing with the dark forces. They're dealing with the dark, what we would call the demonic forces.
Yeah.
That's why it's the magic of Hollywood.
So you believe that there are demons, or as they say in Islam, jinns, outside of our perception, so to say? I know
Of
David
course
Icke
they
has talked about the reptilians. There are some kind of invisible entities we cannot see.
I think that they have the ability, these reptile aliens, which I am sure does exist, but thank God I have one, but I am totally sure they do exist. And the reason why I am so sure that they exist, even though I have not myself seen one, is because I have traveled around the world and I have talked to people in the Middle East, in the Mediterranean, and all over the world. I have traveled and I've talked to people all around the world, and I have heard so many people tell me their personal stories about when they met a reptilian. And when I hear so many people telling me their personal story that they were there and they saw reptile aliens, and I'm hearing them tell me back and forth over and over from around the world, I am persuaded to believe there very well might be something to this. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I'm smart enough to know don't be too quick to throw the baby out with the baby's bathwater. Yeah. Just because you've never seen a reptile alien doesn't mean they don't exist.
No. Okay. I've heard of several types of extraterrestrial beings. The reptiles, the greys, the Pleiadians, the Nordics. That's
I know.
different
that's
kinds
the ones that's the ones we've always heard about.
Yeah.
But my point is that you cannot, if you're wise and intelligent, you cannot go out in public and say those things do not exist, because you don't know that for sure.
No.
How do you know for sure that they do not exist? Because if you're smart, most people are smart enough to know that the world is far, far stranger than you imagine.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things on this earth that are going on that you have no idea about. And so you're not in a position to speak with authority because you don't know.
No.
That's why I don't ever make any pronouncements about what is right and wrong. I've been around the world and I know how much I don't know. So I always have an open mind.
Yeah.
When I'm hearing something I've never heard before, I have an open mind. Why?
Yeah,
because your mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people are quite close-minded about UFOs and the paranormal. Like,
yep.
It's like they've seen it all. They know everything.
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to talk to anybody that's smart. If you're that smart, I don't need to talk to you. No. If you know everything about everything there is in the whole world, I don't need to talk to you.
I've heard one person say that all religions actually started out as UFO cults. Is this true? Like all religions?
I think all religions have been influenced by the UFO. All religions have been influenced by it. I don't know if they started that way. No. But if you think about ancient world, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years ago, people did not live like you do. They didn't have nice homes and heaters and air conditioning and automobiles. They didn't have markets so they could buy food and go to a restaurant and have nice home to live in. People, humans, did not have that kind of a life.
No.
And so it was a very scary world if you lived tens of thousands of years ago. The earth was a very scary place
Yeah.
because it had huge animals. It had vicious animals that were predators. And predators come out in the evening time. So that's why the daylight was always good for mankind. When the sun came up, people could wake up and they could go out and grow food and collect the food and gather the food and harvest.
From
and they
crops?
could have food to eat.
Food
And
crops?
and then they could take showers, they could wash, they had the warm sun to grow food, to grow their flowers, to grow everything. And so the sun was always a wonderful gift to the mankind. But when the sun went down every evening, it was gone, and now the animals are coming out. The predator animals, the lions, the tigers, the incredibly vicious animals were coming out. And so during the day, you had better find a place to protect yourself and your family and your children, because when the sun goes down, the animals are coming out, and you better be protected. So if you think about the life that your ancient ancestors must have lived, were very scary, and that's why they were concerned about dying because of predator animals and all the other criminality that was going on, where people would come and break into where you live to take your food and to kill you. And so that's why mankind was always afraid of the darkness. It becomes very frightening at nighttime, and children still today are frightened of the dark because there's all kinds of things out there that could get you if you're not protected. And so that's why it's been a war going on in the heavens between light and darkness, 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness, back and forth forever. Always a war between God's Son, the light of the world, and the Prince of Darkness. And in Egypt, the Prince of Darkness' name was called, he was a devil. The devil in Egypt was referred to as the Prince of Darkness. And he came out, and his name was Seth.
Yeah.
Today, we still say it gets dark Seth.
Yeah.
This is where it all comes from. The very word God, take an O out of the word good, and it becomes God. God is good. Take the letter D as in divine. Take that letter D and put it in front of the word evil. It becomes devil.
Yeah.
So devil is evil. God is good. God is the light of the world. And the devil is darkness. So therefore, the bottom line today is that if you're very bright and you're highly intelligent and you're well-read, we say that you're a very brilliant person, meaning you're in the light. You're very light. Yeah. You're filled with light. Which on the other hand, if you're not very well read, if you're ignorant and ill-informed and been drinking beer all your life and going to your ball games and you don't know anything about nothing,
and your kidney is broken, wallet as well.
Yeah, and so therefore you're in the dark. You're living your whole life in the dark.
Yeah.
And so that's why we say you're in the dark. Why? Because you are like the devil. You're in the dark. You don't understand what's going on. And you don't want to know. You're not interested to know. You want to just keep watching your silly ball games and drinking your alcohol and taking your drugs and living your terrible life that you live because you don't want to face the truth. You don't want to know what is in the light.
Yeah. I come to think of the... Oh, sorry. I came to think about the founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Srila Prabhupada. He also used to say that people in today's society, they don't care about death, what happens after death. They are living a life full of sinful activities, so they're blinded to the truth, and like you were saying,
That's true.
drinking
Well,
beer
that's
and
true.
watching reality TV shows, stuff like that.
Well, unfortunately, that's the truth. Most people are so busy living their life and drinking their beer and going to the ball games and each other and following what your friends are doing, and wherever your friends are doing, that's what you should do. And so everybody's following each other, and everybody's doing what everybody else does, and you're drinking your beer. So that eventually the whole world is ignorant, ill-informed, and dying. And most people have no idea where they came from or where they're going to go when they leave here, because they don't even know what they're doing while they are here.
Yeah, but I think most of us most humans, they have gone maybe through a period where they were seeking more than usual, and then later on came to find out there are no clear answers, there are no clear evidence. I mean, we have the theory of evolution, the theory of Big Bang, and science cannot give us the answers. Religion cannot give us there's no clear answer. So, I mean, most people, after a while, I might just go on with my life, if you understand what I'm saying.
But I would say, yes, you're right. But there is legitimate and de jure, really legitimate answers to a lot of the things that the human race wants to know. There are some very, very well-established ancient answers to life that have been hidden from us, that we're not being told. Because the church wants to control you. When you're born, the church is there. When you grow up and get married, the church is there. When you die, the church is there. So the church is a corporation, it's a company, and they're not interested in you educating yourself and thinking for yourself and do your own thinking. Church has always been part of the control mechanism. Governments depend on the church. Governments depend on the church to keep the people quiet. And therefore, the church depends on the government to protect them from the people. And so you got a partnership between religion and government. And both want to keep you occupied and stupid so you will mind what they tell you to do. You won't think, you won't use your own mind, you will not be able to use your own brain, because the church will tell you what to believe and the government will tell you what to do now and how to live and what you can and can't do. And so you will come into this world as a baby and never ever question life or where you came from or where your laws came from or who prints your money. And why do you have to do this? Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to have a license? And who is in control and who's running the world? All these questions nobody ever gets answered. And so, but those answers are there. It's just that you have never heard those answers, and you would never ever believe the answers if it were told to you.
But it's a confusing world. I mean, there's a lot of different religions, a lot of different opinions on how humans came about, how the earth came about, how the universe started up. There's a lot of different opinions on these questions. So it can be quite a jungle to go through,
Can I ask two questions, please? I'm actually want to hear about what is your opinion about Nikola Tesla's inventions?
Nikola Tesla was obviously an incredibly gifted man with an extraordinary, brilliant mind, but he was also spiritually led to do what he did. That's what he said. He said when he was like in his early 90s or late 80s or early 90s, he was given a big banquet in New York. All the science community and all the most important people in government, they got together and had a big dinner to honor Nikola Tesla. And at that dinner, Nikola Tesla said after dinner, he got up and gave a speech, and he said that every evening he takes a pen and a pencil and a pad, and puts it on his bed, puts it on his table next to his bed. And so every morning when he wakes up, on the tablet, somebody has written out an experiment, written out an invention. And he said, I just look at what's been written down while I was sleeping, and I take that paper and I go to my laboratory and I bill what the pad tells me. I bill what was written down, and then I come up with a new invention. And he said, so everyone pats me on the back for being such a genius, but I am being led to do what I do. Somebody in the other world comes into my room at night and writes down the new invention for me. So he didn't mind admitting he was being inspired by something. Somebody was leading him to do what he was doing, and I believe it was what we call the spirit world. The angels, the spirits, they were giving him information on how to help us humans, how to give us electricity, how to control the electrical force fields of the earth, how to give us all kinds of radio and telephones and all kinds
of information. All kinds of
information. Yes, somebody in the spirit world wanted us to know. And so they gave it to the one man to do something with it, Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, he was quite a genius, yeah.
Yep.
And what is your opinion about Aaron Swartz? Do you think that what he did was, totally wrong? I mean, he knew what he was actually doing, but without his effort, I would say that Wikipedia wouldn't be what it is today. Or like, for example, people have been copying and mirroring the Pirate Bay since it was banned, and they have got multiple raids.
What I would ask you, my question is, what was his name?
Aaron Swartz. He's American, student from MIT.
Ingo Swann? Are you talking about a man named Ingo Swann?
No. Maybe I should type it. Sorry. Hang on.
Is there a recent person from not long ago?
Very unfortunately, he took his own life.
Yeah, I'm not sure who he was. I'm not
Chicago,
understanding.
Illinois. Born in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, I'm not understanding the name, and I'm not understanding who you're talking about. So I'll have to forget that.
Let's go on then. I mentioned the founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, Srila Prabhupada. There's a couple of quotes. It's difficult with quotes because you never know if the quotes are correct, historically correct. But I've read that he should have said that NASA has stolen technology that was developed by German scientists in the Third Reich. And, the scientists in the Third Reich, they had some kind of UFO development going on there.
Of course he was right.
Yeah.
He was, of course, right. But NASA, he only told you half the story. It's true. What he said was true.
Yeah.
But NASA is a Nazi organization to start with. NASA was founded, the people who founded the NASA operation, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, were the same people who founded the Nazi Party. It's a Masonic order in the Vatican called the Knights of Malta. The Knights of Malta have founded NASA. They founded the Nazi Party. They founded the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. So much of the governmental system of America is Roman fascism and Nazism. Nazism, going back to Germany, and there's a very important thing that you need to keep in mind, John, when I'm gone, and that is the connection between the Jewish people and Germany. There is a secret connection that you've never heard of before, a very secret connection you've never heard before about the connection between the German people and the Jewish religion. There's a very big story there that's never been told. Most people have never even heard it. That's why most you will never hear talk about it because they've never even heard about it.
Mm-hmm.
But do some homework on the web if you want, and begin to look at the connection between Germany as a people and the Jewish religion. And boy, you will find there's all kinds of interesting stuff going on behind the scenes you didn't know anything about. You've never been told.
But you seem to have a quite, negative view on the Nazi regime and the Third Reich, like most people have. But there are neo-Nazis, so-called, who say that history has been written by the winners. History is rewritten to fit a certain agenda. What do you say to those people who claim that?
I think that what we today are referring to as Nazis are not the prototype of what we talk about the Nazis of Second World War. I think, first of all, the Germans that entered the Nazi movement were extraordinarily bright people, very intelligent people, and they were very heavily involved in the world of the occult. They knew many things that we don't know, and they were involved with researching knowledge and things that are going on in the universe that we today are not even beginning to be aware of. So I'm not saying they were stupid and not saying they were stupid or ignorant. No, they were very, very smart people. And America has learned so much from the Nazis that came to America after the Second World War. When the Second World War was over, the Nazis at the top of the regime, they wanted to get out of Germany because they knew the Russians were coming, and the Russians hated them and were going to kill them all.
The Russians were the first ones that entered Berlin.
Yeah. And so the Nazis wanted to get out of Germany quick. When they know the war is over and the Russians were coming, they made a deal with the Vatican. The Pope at the Vatican made a deal with the Americans. And the deal that was made was that you take the top Nazis and get them out of Europe, and you protect them and give them a job and get them a place to live in America. You bring the top Nazis to America, and they will work for you. And so the Pope got top Nazis their free passports, their identification, ID passports, and all their identification, and they had jobs waiting for them when they come to America. They had all kinds of military and industrial companies were waiting for the top Nazis to come here and work for American military industrial complex. And so all the top Nazis that were really the brains behind Adolf Hitler's rise to world power, they were brought to America and to Central America and to South America. And today, the Center for World Nazism, I am persuaded by hearing the experts talk about this subject, where is the world headquarters for the Nazi Party today? I have heard so many stories, and they all basically say it's Argentina. Argentina seems to be the one country where Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party has been operating from since the end of the war. They came to America. They went to work for the CIA and for the military, for the Army and the Navy, and for the different military operations until finally they went to work also for the CIA. That was a Vatican Catholic operation, the CIA, and since the Nazis were in bed with the CIA and the Nazis, they were all working together. That's why the Nazis came to America and they got involved in an organization here in this country called the CIA. Yeah. So when you hear news on your radio and TV about the America CIA, just know you're talking about the Nazi Party in America. Today it's called the CIA and NSA, National Space Administration.
Yeah. It's a National Security
very big
Agency.
story. Yeah. Say it again.
National Security Agency, NSA.
And NSA, correct. Those are all Nazi organizations.
Yeah.
Det som för FRA.
Yeah.
FRA, det där är svenska försvarsmaktens radioanstalt.
And that's why Adolf Hitler talked all the time. When he was talking, he would always talk about the coming new world order. Well, that's what you're hearing all the time today in America. The presidents of the United States are talking about the new world order. That's what Hitler was talking about.
Is it the same order that Hitler was talking about?
It's the same identical idea. Okay. A world government over the whole earth with the Führer, the SS, the Gestapo, the CIA and NASA, the American CIA Nazi operation that will control the whole world. It's the same identical idea. It's just that Hitler won't be the head of it. He's gone.
But there was
a lot of going on now.
Yeah, there was a lot of, as you said, occult symbols in the Third Reich. There were like the Sig rune for SS.
That's right.
And also in the castle of Wewelsburg there was on the floor the black sun, the raven.
That's right.
Which is a circle with
12... And what was the main symbol for Germany and also for the German Nazi Party?
Yeah, this
was the eagle. Yeah. Remember the German eagle?
The eagle, yeah.
Well, in America, we like to rant and rave and talk about the American bald eagle, the American eagle. That's the same eagle that the Nazis used in Germany. It's the same eagle that's been used by all the nations in the ancient world. The eagle represents something very powerful politically.
Yeah.
And so...
I know that you mentioned that Adolf Hitler was a part of the Brotherhood of Saturn. Is that true?
Yeah, the Brotherhood of Saturn. Yeah, go on the web and look up Saturn's Brotherhood. Yeah. The Brotherhood of Saturn was a secret society in Europe. And it was a very powerful, wealthy society of industrialists and military people and military generals. They belonged to this very secret order, and they were trying to take over the whole world for Germany. And so they were called the Brotherhood of Saturn. Saturn was a very powerful god to the ancient people.
Yeah.
And today the Jews of the world today still worship the planet Saturn today.
Yeah, the hexagram is the symbol for Saturn, right?
That's right. The hexagram, the 6-pointed star, is the symbol for the planet Saturn. Yes. And of course the Messiah, the planet Saturn, thousands of years ago, the planet Saturn was called Shabbat, not Saturn, Shabbat. Yeah. And it was spelled Shabbath. Shabbat. Yeah. Shabbat was the planet Saturn. And so today the Jews continue to worship Shabbat on Saturn's day. It's called Saturday, Saturn's day. They worship Shabbat on Saturn's day, and they call that day the Sabbath.
Would you consider... is the planet Saturn...
The word Sabbath comes from Shabbat. Shabbat was the planet Saturn. Shabbat is the planet Saturn. You worship as Sabbath. Yeah. So when you hear the Christians say, remember to keep holy the Sabbath day, just remember Sabbath is the planet Saturn, and the Christians have no idea in the world what they're talking about. The Christians are telling you to remember, keep holy the worship of the planet Saturn on Saturn's day. Yeah. Saturn's day, that's why the Jews go to. They go to their temples on Saturday to worship their god Saturn on Saturn's day.
But is Saturn somehow a evil planet, or would you say it's neutral? Or
say
the planet again? Saturn in itself, is it somehow an evil planet, or what would you say? Saturn is neutral in itself.
It was used so many times by the ancient world to be evil.
Okay.
It wasn't itself evil, but it was always pictured as being evil. It was always understood to be evil.
It has to do with control and rules and laws, right? The law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Saturn was the great lawgiver.
Yeah.
And therefore the priests in the ancient world who worship and led the worship of Saturn, the priest would always wear black, like a Catholic priest today. Catholic priests wear black robes. Well, why? Because they're worshiping the planet Saturn. Go and get a dictionary. Look up priests with the black robe, and look what a black robe represents. It will tell you in the dictionary, black robes represent the planet Saturn.
Yeah.
And so therefore, when you graduate from university, you wear a robe, a black robe. That's because you are a square. That's why you come out with a square mortarboard on your head.
Yeah.
Because you're wearing a black robe, and the black robe is a symbol for the planet Saturn.
Yeah. And you're playing it fair and square. Yeah.
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 That's it.
Speaking of the Third Reich, what is your opinion on so-called Holocaust deniers and those who...
Oh, I don't. First of all, I don't have any problem with the idea of the Holocaust. I'm sure it happened.
Yeah.
I'm sure there were died in the Second World War.
Yeah.
But I also know that when you talk about 6 million Jews who died in the Second World War,
Yeah.
what you don't know, here's something you don't know. It's actually in history books that there was 6 million Jews who died in the World War I.
Yeah.
But nobody ever tells anybody about that. But there was another 6 million Jews that died in World War I. And in 1918 to 1919, 1920, 21, 22, back then, World War I, there were all kinds of books and magazines and newspaper articles and people giving lectures, and all over the world they were talking about World War I was killing 6 million Jews. 6 million Jews were going to be killed in World War I. 6 million Jews died in World War I, the very first World War. 6 million Jews.
Yeah.
And then it comes to 6 million Jews who died in the Second World War.
Yeah.
And so everybody knows about the 6 million who died in the Second World War, but very few people know that all over the world it was talked about how 6 million Jews died in World War I.
Yeah.
You
It's
gotta
strange that
begin to wonder about that.
the same number again. Yeah. But you have mentioned that the word occult means hidden. So, I mean, the word occultism in itself is not necessarily evil, and that's an important point to make.
That's
because
right.
It seems like Christianity, and especially Christian evangelists, they often refer to the occult as something evil. You should stay away from Ouija board seances and contact with the dead. You should stay away from even yoga and meditation is like evil to Christian evangelists. Not all of them, but a lot of them are talking about yoga as something evil, and that is very strange. Could that be some kind of cover up or?
Well, what I'm saying is that the very word occult does not have anything to do with being evil or bad.
Yeah.
Nothing at all. It just means something's hidden.
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
right. So, I mean,
but just because something is hidden, it doesn't mean it's bad. If you have a pair of glasses and you can't find them, then your glasses are occult, meaning it's hidden. But it doesn't mean your glasses are bad. No, it just means you misplaced them. They're hidden.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that's bad or evil. It just means it's hidden. But when you're talking about all kinds of rituals that the churches are involved in and Ouija boards and things like that, I agree. All of that is evil. But that doesn't have anything to do with the word occult.
No.
Occult does not mean evil. It just means hidden. But there are things that the church tells you to stay away from that I am totally convinced are evil. And they are very, very dangerous. And one of the most dangerous things in this world that you can have anything to do with, the most dangerous thing you can do, if you want some serious trouble in your life, is the Ouija board. I believe the Ouija board is probably one of the most incredibly dangerous things you could ever have anything to do with. I would not even want an Ouija board in my home, nowhere near me.
No.
And if you don't understand what I'm saying, then go play with one and watch what happens.
Yeah.
Watch what happens, because what you're doing when you mess with an Ouija board, the reason they're so very dangerous is because you are actually communicating with the other spirit world, with another world of spirits and entities and angels and poltergeists and demons.
Yeah.
And you as a human trying to communicate with that spirit world. And my point is, you don't know what you're doing. No. That's like a child trying to communicate with devils. You better think about what you're doing, because if you're trying to communicate with entities from another world, with intelligences from another place in the universe, and you're trying to communicate with them, you don't know who they are. You don't know what you're talking to, and you for sure do not know what they are capable of. And so if you are asking and wanting to talk with and communicate with spirits from another world, you're looking for trouble.
Yeah.
And boy, don't act surprised when you work with the Ouija board if one day some terrible, frightening things happen to you. And there's nothing you can do about it, and it's frightening, and it will frighten you to death. There's nothing you can do about it. Why? Because you're the one that contacted them, whoever they are. You're the one that wanted to see them. You're the one that wanted to talk to them. You're the one that wanted to contact them.
Yeah.
And so it's just like using a Ouija board is like putting a sign on your front door. If you're poor and you have no place to live, come right in and we will take care of you. Yeah, and so don't be surprised if somebody comes, knocks on your door, and they said that they want you to take care of them.
Yeah.
And when you do that, don't be surprised if they turn out to be a rapist, a criminal, a master criminal, underworld, organized crime, murderer, rapist, criminal.
Yeah,
you are the one that invited them into your home. So if you had any brains, which you actually didn't, but you invited them, and they came in because you invited them. So now it's your fault because you are messing with people you didn't know anything about, and so you.
Yeah, I wasn't planning on using a Ouija board, but
don't.
No, but my point is that the whole word occult is somehow we have learned from early on that you should stay away from everything that has to do with the occult. Even doing research on it. I mean, witchcraft, and there's nothing wrong with researching the occult.
No. I researched and studied the occult not to learn from it, but to learn about it. Yeah. I want to know about the dark forces. I don't want to be a part of them. Yeah. I just want to know what's on the other side. So when I die, I will know what's on the other side. I know where, and I look at these subjects because I want to be educated. I want to know the best I can. I want to know. Yeah. And I want to ask the questions. So that's why I do what I do. And I try and wake other people up to ask questions also.
Yeah. You mentioned that Jesus and Lucifer is one and the same.
Jesus and Lucifer are the same thing. Lucifer is not the devil.
Satan, who is Satan then?
Well, Satan is the one we call the devil. Lucifer is the one we call Jesus. Jesus is Lucifer. Satan is the devil.
All right. But do you believe in Satan as an actual being, as an actual evil entity?
I do believe in an actual entity. I do not believe that's his name. I believe that's a name that's been given to him.
Is that
it's like the word dog? You know, you have a dog and you call him a dog. That doesn't mean it's his name. It's just a term that you use for a dog. You call him a dog, but that his mother didn't call him dog. So the same thing is true with the word devil. Satan, the devil. I do believe that there is some kind of a creature that we call Satan, but I don't know that that's his name.
No.
But he is some kind of a prince of demons. There's no doubt about that to me.
Okay.
I totally believe that.
All right.
But I also intellectually and spiritually, I understand the word Lucifer. Lucifer means Jesus. Why? Because in the Bible, book of Revelation, in the back of the Bible, the last page of the Bible, the very last page of the New Testament is in the book of Revelation. Jesus said, quote, I, Jesus, I am Jesus, and I am telling you, I am the bright and morning star. And look up the word bright morning star in a Bible dictionary, and it will tell you bright morning star is a word in Latin, Lucifer. Lucifer is referred to as the bright morning star. Well, in the book of Revelation, it says, Jesus said, I am Jesus and I am the bright morning star.
Yeah.
And so if you get out the big old Bible dictionaries, the encyclopedias, and go to the big reference work libraries in your town, go to the big reference works and look up the word Lucifer. And the big dictionaries, it will tell you it's a name that's applied to the New Testament.
Yeah.
Jesus is Lucifer.
Yeah.
Now, how many people know that? How many Christians are aware that when they go to church and they see Jesus, that's actually Lucifer they're seeing? Most people don't understand what I'm saying or why I'm saying it because they don't know the subject.
Yeah.
I give 2-hour lectures just on that one subject. And it would take me a couple of hours to explain in detail why it's overwhelming and important and obvious that Jesus is Lucifer if you understand the words in the subject, if you've done the homework.
How did it get associated with the devil then? Because many people think that Lucifer and the devil is the same. How did that happen?
Well, that happened because in the book of Ezekiel, in the Old Testament, and in the book of Ezekiel, something was said about Lucifer falling from heaven. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to another Old Testament book. It goes back to Isaiah. Right. Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah, the 14th chapter, the 12th through the 14th verse. It's Isaiah 14, 12 to 14. Go back and look at the scripture of Isaiah 14, the 14th chapter, and look up 12 to 14 in the 14th chapter.
Okay.
And it will say, and oh, how you have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the dawn. O Lucifer. It's the only place in the Bible that uses the word Lucifer.
Yeah.
And so...
Also, the morning star is Venus. It's associated with Venus, the planet.
That's exactly correct. That's exactly right.
Yeah. Do you believe that there was life once upon a time in Venus?
I don't know if there was or not. I don't know.
No. What's your opinion on yoga and meditation?
On what?
On yoga, doing yoga and meditating.
Oh, yeah. I have never fooled with that. I'm sure there is something of value there.
Yeah.
Because I know that there is something of value. It's just at 80 years old.
Yeah.
I have never bothered to have anything to do with yoga, and so therefore, I can't comment on it.
Okay, no.
And I don't think yoga is going to help me any at 80 years old.
Okay. Yeah, but I heard that there was this person named Gopi Krishna. He meditated 3 hours a day for 17 years, and he was able to raise the so-called Kundalini force and reach a higher state of consciousness. And he also describes it as a way of utilizing more percentage of the human brain. And I also did an interview with an Hare Krishna member who said that in today's stressful society, people don't have time or peace of mind to really go deep into meditation as they once were. Because in the Hare Krishna movement, they talk about, different cycles. There was a golden age, and now we're in the Kali Yuga right now, which is a kind of a dark materialistic age. Would you say that you believe that there once was this golden age?
Yeah.
Do you think that...
I understand. I would say this too. I would say this. I've said it into so many radio shows, but I'll say it again. That Judaism and Christianity and Islam, all three major religions today, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, all three major religions, have come from an earlier religion called Hindu.
Yeah.
The Hindu religion has given birth to three different religions in our world today. Judaism is Hindu, Christianity is Hindu, and Islam is a Hindu religion. And Christianity and Judaism are nothing more than a modern-day Hindu religion. But the people who follow it don't know that. The Christians don't know that, and the Jews don't know that. And the Jews don't want to know that. They're not interested to know that. So nobody's telling them anything. I'm telling you that Judaism and Christianity are nothing more than Hindu religion.
Yeah.
It goes back to India.
Yeah. I know you mentioned that the Jewish religion is henotheistic. They picked out one God out of many. Is that correct? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We are told that the Jews are the worshipers of one God. Well, in point of fact, that's not true. The Jews have never worshipped one God. That's not true, unless you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
But most people can't handle the real truth. The real truth is that the Jews have always been a henotheistic, not monotheistic. Monotheistic means theistic means of God. Yeah. Mono means one. Therefore, the Jews are said to be the first monotheistic people in the world. They were the one people that worship one God.
Yeah, but that's not true.
That's not true. No. Not at all.
No, because
they were not a monotheistic. The Jews were, and today are still, a Heno. H-E-N-O.
Yeah.
Heno. A henotheistic people, meaning the word heno means to pick one out of a group.
Yeah.
So if you let's say you have 19 gods, and they're all standing in front of you, and each one's equal to the other. They're all equal gods. There's 19 of them. And you come in and you decide which one of these gods do you like? Which one do you like? And you think about it for a little bit, and then you say, I like this guy here. You point at one of the gods. I like him. Okay, then you will be his people, and he will be your God, because you're the one that liked him. You're the one that said it. So we will let you be his follower, and you will be his follower, and he'll be your God. Yeah. So now we can say that you are the worshiper of one God. Yeah. Not because there's only one God. No, but because you picked one God. Yeah. And that's what the word Heno means. Heno means to pick one God. Yeah. That's why in the Ten Commandments, God says to Israel, the one God they picked says to Israel, I am the Lord your God. Yeah. And I shall not have other gods before me. That's this young man would say to the young girl he's going to marry and he's going steady with. and he's going steady and he's going to marry her, he would say the same thing. Look at, I know there are other young men out there. I know some of them are far better than I am.
Yeah.
But you have an agreement with me. You made a pact and agreement with me that you were going to marry me. So with all the other young men out there, I don't want to see you with any of the other young men, period. Why? Because you picked me. And I agreed, and I picked you, and you agreed. So we made a pact. We made a deal. And so I don't want to see you with any other young man. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
The Jews picked one God, and that one God said, in the Ten Commandments, I am the Lord your God. Picked.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see any other gods in front of you. Understand? Period.
Yeah. What
You
was the
only got
name
one
of the God they picked? Because you had said that the Christian God, the name of the Christian God is Dagon or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church worships Dagon.
So that was
the Catholic Church, not Christianity. Christianity doesn't have anything to do with Dagon. The Catholic Church worships the god Dagon, D-A-G-O-N, Dagon.
Yeah.
And Queen Elizabeth was an queen, but not only a queen. She was also very famous for being like an iconic view, like a scenery over the diversity between Protestant Christianity and Catholic Christianity.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And the whole royal family are very, very extremely evil.
Yeah.
The whole royal family of England are very evil. But then so is the royal family in Sweden is even equally as evil. The royalty of Sweden is a story that will blow your mind if you found out the real truth. Who the royalty really are, who they really are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to have to go.
Gustav Adolf den andra.
All right. You have to go now, you say?
Yeah, pretty close.
Okay.
It's been 2 hours. It's been, 2 hours?
Yeah, approximately, yeah. We had some audio issues, so it was a bit delayed. But can I ask you maybe a last question, or is it...
Of course.
Okay. There's talk within the UFO community about staged UFO attack, which will be like the next 9/11. Do you believe that will happen?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I know the man who started talking about the fake UFO attack that was coming. It was going to be fake government UFO attack to frighten everybody.
All right.
His name was, he's a dear friend of mine. I very much love him, a very good friend. His name was Norio Hayakawa. He was a Japanese researcher.
Mm-hmm.
Norio Hayakawa used to talk all the time at the lectures many, many years ago, 30 and 40 years ago, when I was speaking at lectures all over America and all over the world at UFO conferences. It was Norio Hayakawa that used to talk about. He's the one that came up with the idea that there was going to be a alien invasion that was not going to be real. It's not going to be a real alien invasion. It's just going to be a fake one, but it'll be so real that we will believe it. And the reason why it's a fake one is because it's supposed to frighten the world, so we would join in a united effort in United Nations, and we will all join each other on the earth and be one people to defend the earth. And so that way we get what Adolf Hitler wanted. He wanted a new world order in which there'll be one government, one people, one power, one military, everything will be one. And so Norio said that's what he thought was coming, was there going to be an equally large fake invasion that was going to frighten the whole world, so we'll all join together and be one nation and one people. But I don't said to Norio some 50 years ago, I said to him, Norio, I can take the same things that you are saying, and I can come up with the same I mean, I use the same words and the same things you're saying, but I can give you a different idea. I think that there very well could be, in fact, an alien invasion coming. Not a fake one, but a real one. And maybe these aliens who are coming have already been here. They're here now. And they have told the governments of the world, get your people ready because we're coming in and we're going to show the world who we are. And so the governments realize, the governments today know that they have no way that they can protect themselves from the technology of the extraterrestrial. We pretty well know that. We don't really have the kind of technology to defend ourselves from something so superior to us. Because remember, these aliens are from places out in the universe that maybe they've been here for hundreds of millions of years. They've maybe been here for 1 million years, and we've only been here for the short time we've been here, and they've been around for millions of years. And so their understanding of technology and their abilities to do the things they can do that we can't do because we're just like little children to them. And so we know we cannot defeat them. We can't even stop them if they're going to come here. We can't do anything. And so since we can't do anything, why don't we just prepare the world through movies and television shows and books, prepare the whole world for the extraterrestrials who are coming. And so I think that's what's happening when Steven Spielberg makes all of his movies about extraterrestrials and the Close Encounters of the Third Kind and E.T. and War of the Worlds and all of that. I think that when he's doing that, he's preparing the whole world for the day when the actual influx of the extraterrestrials will happen. And it's not going to be a fake invasion. I think it's going to be an actual, real invasion. And we humans are being prepared for it by watching movies like Spielberg's movie. We're being prepared for this. Something is coming, and we got to get prepared.
Do you think it will happen soon?
I tend to think it's going to happen soon. Okay. That's just my idea, but I think so. I think it's going to happen soon.
All right. Yeah. Well, we have to wait and see then. I hope it won't happen.
Yep. Well, I kind of hope it won't either, but my gut feeling is it is going to happen. Something is going to happen to this Earth very soon. And it's not going to be a fake invasion. It very well might be a real invasion. And if that's true, we got some serious problems.
Yeah.
And that's why the military is working around the clock in America. The military is working around the clock at NASA. NASA's working to put up a space station, preparing instruments of war. They call them Star Wars. You know, they make movies about Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. All kinds of very powerful stuff is going on right now on the Earth, and something I believe is coming very soon. And so the only thing I would leave you with is that anyone who's interested in my work, and I've been doing it for 60 years, looking at all the hidden stuff of the world, go on my website. My website is Jordan Maxwell Show. Only 3 words you have to remember. 1, 2, 3. 3 words only. Jordan Maxwell Show. And when you go on my Jordan Maxwell Show website, you will see an advertisement, a little banner advertising another website called Jordan Maxwell Research Society. That's another website that I own.
Yes.
And you click on Jordan Maxwell Research Society, and it will take you to an entrance where you can pay, you can make a donation. You make a donation, and that will give you a lifetime subscription to my research society, which is a lifetime subscription to my second website, which I got all of the pictures and documents and audios and videos and research papers, all kinds of strange things that I've been doing and researching for so many years. You can get it all for one-time fee, just a small contribution, and you can have it for a lifetime subscription, only one time. So go on Jordan Maxwell's show, and I'll see you there.
Should also mention that you should not go to jordanmaxwell.com because that's been hijacked by criminals.
Yeah. So I only have one website, Jordan Maxwell Show. And so you go on Jordan Maxwell Show and you will see that I also have a second website. You can go all over Jordan Maxwell Show and you'll find all kinds of interesting stuff. But there's also the Jordan Maxwell Research Society.
Yeah.
And on the Jordan Maxwell Research Society gives you all of my work for one-time contribution, only once.
Yeah.
Okay? And thank you for allowing me to be on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you here. It's quite surreal talking to you because I've been listening to you for so long on many podcasts and interviews, etc. So thank you very much for joining.
Good. Okay.
All right.
And
thank you.
Do it again.
Thank you, Jordan.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, take care. Bye. Bye.